lost time. Can you tell? I'm trying to make up for lost time. Like, cool, let's hit it, let's hit it, let's hit it. So we'll come back up here to our index. And we've been looking at the box model. Everything on the web is a box. And we saw box sizing, border box. And now the next thing to look at is the display property. You want to see display property first or border? Border? Yeah, I want to see border first too. Dang it, how do we know that? All right, so border. So I like playing with border, so we're just going to live code this and do a new folder here, and it'll be 008, and it'll be border. And then inside we'll create a folder 01, and then inside we'll create a folder, right-click, new, we'll create a file, index, HTML, and we'll create a new file, style sheet, main, and then we'll link to our main. And then we'll close all those for a second, and we'll copy this, and we'll put it as O2 because that's kind of like a blank template ready to go. And now we're going to work with this first one, split vertically, get my CSS over there, and now I'm ready to code stuff. And so I'm just going to do a div, okay? And on that div here, Tom Collins, nice to see you.
Hey, what's up?
What's up?
You lecturing right now?
I am.
Okay, I'll come back.
All right. This div will give an ID of Tom Collins. And then we'll come over here. I just gave it an ID in the code of Tom Collins. That's Tom. He has a drink named after him. Maybe you've heard of it. Yeah. You know, I bet you wish you'd trademarked that. And so Tom Collins, we're going to, first of all, we'll do every div will have a width, and it'll be 400. No, it'll have a height, and it'll be 200 pixels. Okay, and so we'll do an ID Tom Collins, and then we'll do what are some other drinks? Give me a name of a drink. Roy Rogers. Cool. Give me the name of another drink. Shirley, don't you guys drink alcohol?
No.
Give me another drink. Huh?
Heineken.
Heineken? I don't know how to spell that. Is that right? That was one of the first places I ever got drunk in my life.
Oh, yeah?
Was the Heineken Brewery. I ended up in the Netherlands and went on a tour. I was like 13. My family went there. I went on a tour of the brewery, and I lost my parents and ended up in the beer hall at the end where they give you all the free beer and cheese you wanted. I drank a couple of beers and got a little drunk. 13. I was raised by wild people in the 70s. I was. All right, so now I'm going to put a border on. Actually, watch this. I'll do the border up here. Border. That's something else. That's nothing, actually. Black. And I'll often do like hot pink when I'm trying to see where is this element and what's it looking like on the page. And hot pink to me just tells me, hey, I put this border on for debugging purposes. And I'm going to do a little margin. And I'm going to do a margin 10 pixels, 0. And when you use 0, you don't put a unit at the end of it, like pixels, right? So it's just 0. So what's margin 10 pixels, 0? What kind of margin is that going to put on?
Top and bottom.
Top and bottom will be 10 pixels. Left and right will be 0. Okay? So let's watch this and see what happens. So there are my borders. And top and bottom. Well, if I didn't say left and right has left and right doesn't have margin, why isn't this touching the wall? Right there. Why is that not touching the wall? I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so we can see it better. Why is it not touching the wall? Because browsers apply default styling. And so if I go to HTML and body elements, HTML element, body element, and then even maybe the div, and I'm going to say content padding 0, border 0, margin 0. It's going to zero out any default border padding margin from the browser for HTML, body, and div. That hits first, reads it top to bottom, and then it hits div again. It hit div up here, and it says, oh, actually margin 10. on the top. So it zeroed out the default formatting. You ready to watch those left and rights disappear? Did they disappear? They disappeared, right? Okay, so it went all the way to the side. So one of the things that we do is reset browser default formatting, zero it out, and then build up from zero, because different browsers might have different defaults, and we don't want the browser applying formatting. We do it from the ground up. So it's basically like, let's level everything and then build from the ground up. All right, cool. So now I could come in here and I could start adding some cool borders. Border, 5 or 10 pixels, dashed, and notice the different options. 10 pixels, dashed. Well, those are colors. So, but dashed is one of them. And I could do like orange, red. Okay, and refresh. That's cool. It's a cool border. And I could come down here and I could do border, 10 pixels, grooved, groove, and I could just look for the colors. So on here, Control Spacebar brings up this option in WebStorm or Gogland. And man, there's a lot of colors there, including names. So now we got down to the names. And some of the names are super interesting. I just gotta let's just scroll till we get to the names, because if I click, it brings it up. Hot pink, crimson, chartreuse. Whoever knew chartreuse was that color. Goldenrod, orchid, deep sky blue, papaya whip, dark olive green, antique white, Alice blue, blanched almond, burleywood, cadet blue, cornflower blue, corn silk. Just some interesting names. Dark turquoise, dim gray, Dodger truck, fire brick, forest green, fuchsia, honeydew, lawn green, magenta, misty rose, moccasin, Navajo white, pale green, Rebecca purple, I think I'll go with cornflower blue, azure, aquamarine, cyan, dark turquoise. There's groove, dark turquoise. Make it a little bit bigger. It's kind of neat, that effect. So you might be like, well, how do I know what the different effects are? You got dashed, groove. You go to the documentation, MDN border. MDN border. MDN is where you always go for documentation, border. And then you could come here, and we have syntax, values, examples, and initial value. And we have border style. So border, if you read this, is a shorthand property for setting individual border property, border width, border style, border color. So we could set each of these individual. Hey, the border width, 10 pixels. Border style, it's this thing. So now let's click on border style and read about border style. So border style has dashed, groove, right? Or any of these other ones. Dotted, double, ridge. So we could try those. Border, 20 pixels. Double. I'll try double. Crimson. That's cool. Or we come down to this one, Heineken, and we'll try border, 20 pixels. And we did dashed, we did double, we did groove. Let's try ridge. Tomato. And we've got red on there already. Rebecca purple. So those are borders. And borders shorthand for those other ones, right? So we've got border width, border style, and border color. Or we could just set it all with border. And the last thing I'm going to show you, which is super cool, and we'll do this in number 2. So we'll close these. We'll have a div. And then we'll go into main, split vertical, and we'll do HTML body div. And we're going to do padding 0, border 0, margin 0. And then we're going to have our div, and we're going to do a width 100 pixels, height 100 pixels, border 5 pixels, groove. Well, let's keep playing with them. Why do the same one? We'll do inset, and then some color, and fuchsia. And now let's look at that. Cool, so there it is. And I think on the body, we'll do margin 5 pixels. Just bring it all off the edge a little. And then what we could do is we could duplicate this, or we'll use emmet to do it. Div times 100. Just put 100 divs on the page. And we'll refresh that. All right, that's cool. All right, they're just all vertically aligned. But I'd like a little space between them, so I'll do a margin. And we'll just do 10 pixels, and we'll see what that looks like, top right, bottom left. All right, that's cool. But I think that I would also like these to be, instead of display block, right now they're displayed as blocks. So each one takes up an entire block stack on top of each other. So right now they're display block. I'm going to change it to display inline block so that they're in line. They're all in line now. That's cool. And one last thing I'm going to do is I have border, and I'm going to add border radius. And it's like, I could do 50%. Now they're all circles. And then I might say, you know, it'd be cool if it had a little background color, and choose a background color that looks like it would work with that kind of pink thing. So I'm thinking some kind of a pink. So I could type pink, and it gives me light pink, hot pink, deep pink. I'm going to try deep pink and see what that looks like. I think I'll try light pink, see what that looks like. Kind of cool. So you've learned some new properties. And let me just list them out so you have one place to reference them. So we'll create readme.md. And on this file, we're going to list out these are declaration properties, and we have border, and that is shorthand for border size, border width, border style, border color, border width, border style, border color, and then we have border radius, and we also saw box sizing border box, and we also saw display block, and we saw display inline block. So let's just look at our code and see if there's any more. Width, height, margin, display, inline block, border, border radius, background color. Put that one down. And let's look at this one to see if there's something in here that we should add to our list. Border, 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 margin, height. Cool. So we got a few new ones, but basically it's just border, where you set 10 pixels, groove, whatever, and then a color. And border radius rounds it. And display inline block makes them all display inline, and background color filled it in. Let's just look at border radius, MDN, and we could see the values can be pixels, or we got the top and bottom, left and right. Top, left, bottom, right. Oh, maybe these are different. Top, right, bottom, left. We'd have to run that. I think it adheres to trouble. Top left, top right, bottom left. So this is top left and bottom right. Yes. Yeah, that makes sense. So on the corners it goes top left, top right, bottom left. And so if we have two, it's top left and bottom right. Right? Yeah. Top left and bottom right with two. And if we have three, that's weird. Stay away from three. This is all the corners. And this is top left, top right, bottom left. Okay. And then what are the units of measurement is what I'm looking for. And we have pixels and we have percent. So I'm just looking to see the radius applies the whole background, even if the property is shorthand. So this property is shorthand for border top left radius, border top right. So border radius is shorthand for these. Border radius property does not apply to table elements. A width, as with any shorthand property, individual inherited values are not possible. Initial value applies to all elements. Inherited, no. Percentages refer to the corresponding dimension of the border box. Computed value, animation type, canonical. 1, 2, 3, or 4 length or percentage values. This is what I'm looking for. So you could give it length or percentage values. So percentage value denotes the size of the circle radius or the semi-major or semi-minor axis of ellipses. So that's a percentage radius, and this is border radius, so that's showing that to us right here. And length denotes the size of the circle radius or semi-major. And it can be expressed as any unit allowed by the CSS length data type. And so the length data type is a data type represents a distance value, and interpolation units. So relative length units, font relative like M or rem or PX. Where's PX? VW, VH, you could use those. Or absolute like pixel. So those are the length data type in CSS. So that's just showing you a little bit about reading the documentation. If I had to dig in and figure out what can I use where. And we'll see more of that, and it'll make more sense as we go through the course. All right, so I want you to recreate this right here. Woohoo!